She had imagined that the day she brought her baby into the world would be filled with softness, warmth, and gentle voices. Instead, the hallway outside the maternity room echoed with the sharp, cutting tone of her mother-in-law. Marina clutched her newborn closer, her body still trembling from exhaustion, while Valentina Pavlovna stood at the edge of the bed, lips tight with disapproval. "You are not taking this child home," the older woman snapped. "Not after the disgrace you brought on our family. My son deserved better." Marina didn't even have the strength to argue. Her husband, Sergei, had left on a work trip a week before the due date, promising to come back early. But he never returned. Instead, he sent a cold message ending their marriage. No explanations. No farewell. Just a clean cut, as if the life they built had meant nothing. Now, the woman he had always feared to contradict, the one he had never dared oppose, was here to finish what he started. "You will leave him with us," Valentina insisted. "You clearly can't take care of him alone. You will leave, and you will not ruin his future." Tears burned behind Marina's eyes. Her baby moved slightly, as if sensing her distress. She whispered a quiet apology into his tiny ear, wishing she had someone, anyone, to stand with her. A sudden knock interrupted the tension. The door creaked open. A man stepped inside, tall, dressed in a dark coat still dusted with snow. Valentina's mouth opened to scold whoever dared enter without permission, but the words died before leaving her throat. "Hello," the stranger said softly. "I'm looking for Marina." Her breath caught. She recognized him immediately, though she never imagined seeing him here. It was her brother-in-law, Dennis, the quiet one, the one who had moved to another city years ago, the one who never involved himself in family arguments. He approached slowly, his eyes not leaving her face. "I heard what happened," he said. "I came as soon as I could." Valentina recovered enough to hiss, "Why are you here? This is none of your concern." But Dennis didn't look at her. Instead, he gently touched the baby's small hand. "He looks just like you," he murmured to Marina. "And he deserves to be with his mother. She cannot raise him alone." Valentina exploded. "Sergei doesn't want her. Sergei is a coward," Dennis cut her off, his voice steel. "And you are not taking her child." For a moment, silence filled the room. Marina stared, stunned. No one had ever spoken to Valentina that way. The woman's face went pale, then red, then pale again. You have no right." "I do," Dennis replied calmly. "Because if you try to take that baby, I'll go to the police and tell them everything I know about how you forced Sergei to leave his wife. I'm done watching you destroy people." Valentina stumbled back, speechless. Dennis turned to Marina. "You're coming with me. I'll help you. You're not alone." For the first time in days, Marina felt the world steady beneath her. She held her baby close and whispered, "Thank you." They walked past the stunned woman, and as the door closed behind them, Marina realized the impossible had happened. Her darkest moment had brought her the one person she never expected, an ally. Someone who made her believe she could still start again. She stood on the cold platform, the wind slicing through her thin coat as if trying to push her away. Lila hadn't slept all night. She had replayed the same scene again and again, her fiancé, bags packed, telling her he needed time, which she understood all too well meant he no longer needed her. The apartment they had shared now felt like a museum of broken promises. So she left the keys on the table, grabbed her old suitcase, and headed to the station with the single desperate thought, get as far away as possible. But she had boarded the wrong train. She didn't realize it at first. She simply sank into the seat, closed her eyes, and tried to breathe past the tightness in her chest. Only when the conductor approached did she learn she was speeding toward a small coastal town she had never heard of. Embarrassed and numb, she stepped off at the next stop. Now she stood alone, the station nearly empty, the clock ticking loudly as if mocking her confusion. "Miss, you look lost." The voice made her flinch. An elderly woman, wrapped in a knitted shawl, watched her with warm, curious eyes. Lila forced a small smile. "I took the wrong train." "Maybe you took the right one," the woman said with a knowing tilt of her head. "Life does that sometimes." Lila wanted to laugh, or cry, or both. Instead, she dragged her suitcase toward a bench and sat down. Her phone buzzed, another message from Daniel, full of excuses, full of nothing. She turned the device off. She didn't want him invading this moment too. The woman sat beside her. "You waiting for someone?" Lila shook her head. There's no one to wait for. Well, the woman said, someone's waiting for you. Before Lila could ask what she meant, a small boy, maybe 6 years old, ran up to the woman. Grandma, the bus won't come for another hour. Then he looked at Lila's tear-reddened eyes and frowned with concern. Are you okay? Lila felt something inside her soften. I will be. The boy nodded seriously, as if he understood heartbreak. Do you want to come to our cafe? Grandma makes amazing hot chocolate. It fixes everything. Not everything, his grandmother corrected. But it helps. Lila hesitated. She didn't know these people. She didn't know this town. She had no plan, no direction. But she also had nothing left behind her worth clinging to. Yes, she said finally. I'd like that. They walked together through the small streets, the boy holding her sleeve as if afraid she might drift away. The air smelled of the sea, clean, sharp, real. When they reached a modest little cafe with fogged windows, the woman ushered her inside, promising warmth and sweetness. As Lila wrapped her fingers around the steaming mug minutes later, she realized something profound. Sometimes being lost is the only way to be found. She didn't know where her life was headed now, but maybe, just maybe, she had arrived exactly where she needed to be. The studio lights were brighter than he expected, and Blake Shelton squinted as the cameras rolled, trying to settle into the chair opposite the host. He had done hundreds of interviews in his career, but something about this one felt different from the moment he walked in. The producers were whispering too much, the host was smiling too widely, and the questions on the pre-interview card seemed harmless, almost too harmless. Blake had learned long ago that when things looked that smooth, something was waiting beneath the surface. The host started casually, asking about his tour, his latest single, the funny mishap on stage last month. Blake laughed, told stories, and played along. But then the host leaned forward, elbows on the table, tone shifting just slightly. Now, Blake, he said, you've always been known for speaking your mind. Some folks love that honesty, others say it's time you cleaned it up. What do you say to people calling you out of touch? Blake felt the trap snap shut. Viewers loved drama, networks loved viral moments, and controversy sold better than any new album. He shifted in his seat, weighing his options. He could give the safe answer, the polished PR version. But the entire reason fans trusted him was because he didn't sugarcoat things. So he took a breath and said what he truly thought. Look, he said, I grew up in a small town where people said what they meant and meant what they said. I'm not gonna apologize for being myself just because someone online doesn't like it. I'm not perfect, but I'm real. And if that bothers folks, well, maybe the world needs more people who quit pretending. The host blinked, taken aback. The producers perked up instantly. Blake saw their excitement, they had their moment. The host pressed further, turning general questions into pointed ones. But don't you think some of your past comments were insensitive? Social media was in an uproar. People said they felt dismissed by you. Blake leaned back, the weight of years in his eyes. I'm a human being, he said slowly. I've said things clumsily. I've said things I could have phrased better. But people forget context, forget humor, forget intention. They take one sentence and turn it into something bigger because they want a headline. The host raised an eyebrow. So you're saying the public overreacted? I'm saying, Blake replied, that we've stopped listening to each other. And I'm tired of being turned into a villain every time I open my mouth. Silence followed, tense, electric. The kind that told Blake the clip would be on every social platform before he even walked out of the building. When the interview ended, the host shook his hand with the kind of polite stiffness that said, this is going to blow up. Blake knew it too. His phone was already buzzing in his pocket, messages from his team, notifications piling up like a storm gathering. But as he walked toward the exit, he felt strangely calm. If honesty was enough to get him canceled, then maybe the cost was worth it. He had spoken from the heart, and whatever came next, he was ready to face it.